Hi, Hank Field here. In this video, we're going to talk about how you can change the default commit message editor for Git to something that's more usable for you. So the first thing I need to do is explain what a commit message editor is. In my previous videos, I've only showed you how to add messages directly on the command line. So let me show you what this is. I'm going to go over to Sublime Text and open up a terminal window here so we can interact with Git. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some random stuff to this sum.cbp file that we were using in a previous example. And I'm going to save that. And I'm going to go to get status here. Okay, so I can see that I modified sum.cbp. So I'm not going to add this separately. I'm just going to do get commit-a. And now what I'm going to do to show you what the editor is I'm not going to do the M and then quotes and then a message. I'm just going to do get commit-a. When I do that, it'll bring up the default editor. In my experience, this is always Vim. I'm not actually sure. It could be something different on your system, but this is the one I got on both my Mac OS as well as on my Windows versions. Now, Vim is a classic command line editor. It's very helpful if you happen to do a lot of stuff with the command line, or if you're on a server somewhere where you don't have a graphical user interface. But it can be very overwhelming if you haven't seen it before. The first thing you'll notice if you're trying to use this is it's not clear how to start typing. If I try to type in something, like let's suppose I want to say that I updated sum.cbp or I updated my pseudocode, if I start typing, not much happens, but I just hit a couple keys there and you see that this insert appeared down at the bottom. But I have nothing actually got typed up here. So Vim uses this notion of modes, and you're either in insertion mode or you're in escape mode or command mode. And there's actually another one called replace mode. And so in order to start typing, you have to be in insert mode. The way you get into insert mode is by typing I. I'm going to hit escape right now to get me back to where I was before. That's the where I'm in. This is when you first open this up. That's what you're in, is the in the command mode, and you can get back into that at any point by hitting escape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type I, and I'm going to just say changed or updated the pseudocode in sum.cbp. Okay, so now in order to actually get out of the editor and go forward with a commit, you have to hit escape, and then you have to type colon, and then W, and then Q. The colon WQ tells the Vim editor to write this message to file, and the Q says that we can exit out of it. Once we do that, you'll see we'll get a message from Git saying that we made the change, and if I do git log, you can see our message appears there. Okay, so that's with Vim. So like I said, if you happen to be using Vim and you're comfortable with it, that's great. Make sure you type I to start typing, finish your commit message, and then hit the escape key in the upper left-hand corner of your keyboard, and then a colon followed by a W and a Q. That's all you need to do. An easier to use editor would be Nano. So let me go into the terminal, and I'm just going to type in this command here. So git config global. This basically will just set, anytime you do a git commit without a -m, this is going to say what editor to use. So we'll make this Nano. Nano is another command line editor, but it's a lot easier, especially for newbies. And so that's one reason why I recommend it. And we'll see in a second, it's going to actually show you at the bottom of the screen what your options are, what the different key combinations you have to press in order to do things like write the file and exit. So let me go and make a change. So I'm going to delete this line here. And I'm going to say get status just to see what's going on. Okay, good. I can see that my sum.cbp file was updated. Now I'm going to do git commit -a. Okay, you can see this has put me into nano. Now with nano, you can just start typing. So I'll just say updated pseudocode in sum.cbp again. Now what we want to do is just like before, we want to save our file, which is called writing out in nano, and then we want to exit. So these little carets in front of each of these letters just means that you need to hold down the control key. That's not the command key. Even if you're on Mac OS, it has to be the control key. So control O, you don't actually need a shift. It's not capital O, it's just O. So we do control and O, that'll write, and it says, it's asking me where I want to write it to. And the default down here is what you want. So when you do git commit, Git creates this temporary file called commit edit message inside of the .git folder. So just hit enter to accept that. It tells you that it wrote the lines. And now you can do control X to exit. And the message down here tells me that it worked. Let's just check it again, git log, and we can see that appears up there. All right, so there are other things that you could do as well. So if you don't want to use nano, if you don't want to use any command line editor, that's fine. You could use something like Atom or Sublime Text 3 or Visual Studio Code, or there's a lot of different things that you could use. Notepad++. There's a nice page from GitHub that tells you how to do a couple of these. And I have that open somewhere. Here we go. So this is the GitHub help page, and they give 3 different examples. So using setting Atom, Sublime Text, and TextMate as your editor on OS X. Or on Windows, Atom, Sublime Text, or Notepad++. So you can go through and they have a little command for you there, and that should work out. It's possible that it may not, just because of paths. If you can't find the editor you specified, if you installed it somewhere funny, then it could have some issues, but that's a good place to look at. And what that'll do is open up a graphical user interface editor, the kind of text editor you're probably more accustomed to using, and you can write in your commit message, save it, and then you have to X out of the window. So like in Sublime Text, you'd have to X out of the tab that's opened, and then that'll go ahead forward with the commit. All right, so that's how you can change the commit message editor.